Hey ghouls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today's video is going to be a vlog of the Evernight October box. Evernight is Illumicrate's horror book box that comes out 4 times a year, and I am so excited about the October book that I wanted to film a little unboxing and then a vlog of me reading that book. So we do have the Evernight book here. I already filmed some unboxing footage, so if you do not want to be spoiled, I would probably go ahead and skip this vlog, but if you are just interested in seeing what the book is, number one, and then my reactions to it and what I think about the book, then keep on watching. So let's go back a couple days now when I got this book box and let's see the unboxing. So it is Halloween. I am already in my Halloween PJs. I was not expecting to get this today, but the Evernight box came in the mail and I cannot wait. I'm just gonna go ahead and unbox it now. As you can see, there's already now a little nose print because Obi was very, very interested in this book. I know what this book is just based on the clues, and I am just so excited to see the brand new cover. Oh my goodness. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, moment of truth. Taking it out of the bubble wrap. Oh my gosh. Look at the green. Wow. Wow. Okay, that's just the back. Okay, I'm gonna flip over to the front. Ooh. Ooh. I like this. This is such a big departure from what it is, like the normal cover, and it really like gives a completely different vibe to the book. Now I'm like really excited about it. I was excited about this one beforehand, but wow. Oh wow. Okay, cool. I do like the sprayed edges. The sprayed edges are really cool. I like the addition of the green. I think it adds, hey Obi, a little bit more to the book thematically. I'm just very, very obsessed. I think this, oh, there's another one. Okay, so that's the dust jacket. I just took it off the book. I love the Ouroboros. I love that. This is super cool. It's very different. I don't know. I think I was just expecting like kind of a variation on what the normal one would be, but this is intriguing. This is very much giving dark academia, and a dark academia that's like perfect for October, or I guess now November, because it's October 31st when I'm filming this. So wow, okay. I already showed this one a little bit. I think this is our main character, Lennon, and then the very end, the other end pages, we've got another artwork as well. So yeah, I'm intrigued. This is a gorgeous book cover. Honestly, at first glance, it kind of reminds me of the book cover of The Book of Accidents, I think, is what I'm thinking of, by Chuck Wendig, and I really liked that one. And I'm interested. This is, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, this just feels like a very different like tonal shift from the regular book. So the regular book cover is just all black and I think it just has a moth on it, but this has a little bit more character. I kind of like the art, so I'm really excited to read this. I am so excited to be reading An Academy for Liars in this vlog. Now, I do understand there were a lot of people who were a little bit upset by this choice, and I do get why. I personally, this is one of my most anticipated releases of the year, but I don't know how neatly this categorizes into horror. This, to me, just reading the synopsis, seems a lot more like a dark academia fantasy, maybe with horror elements. The other two things that I've read and loved by Alexis Henderson, Year of the Witching and then House of Hunger, had to deal with witches and vampires respectively. Both of those were like horror fantasy. They had an equal amount of fantasy elements and horror elements, so I am wondering, when choosing this one, perhaps they thought, like Illumicrate, the team thought it would be the same kind of way. This one does seem to be the most traditionally fantasy, but I have to imagine, just based on the other books by this author, that there will be horror elements inside. However, I totally understand the critiques about this not being a horror release, particularly because October was such a stacked month for horror releases. One of the good things about the Evernight horror box is that they do give clues before the book is shipped or before you have to purchase or renew your subscription, and the clues are just vague enough that you don't have to spoil yourself if you don't want to. However, you can also pretty easily find out which book is going to be offered in the next box, making it really easy for you to skip or select that you want to have the box. But I get it, okay? But I'm really excited about this one, and who knows, maybe this is going to be so dark, so horrific, because it's a magical school, but it's dark academia, and Alexis Henderson can write some dark fantasy. So I really cannot wait to dive into this one. I'm going to briefly throw up the original cover here, and this, I feel like these covers like give very different tones and expectations for what the book is going to be. So I am really excited to check this book out. I'm going to go get to reading, and I'll check back in later with another reading update. It has been a very gloomy day today. It's been a very gloomy week if you live in the US and you value democracy or human rights, but yeah, it's been quite a few days since my last update. It's not been a great week. Not been a great week mentally, physically, spiritually, like any of those things, not been great, and it's been really hard to do anything, but I also know that it's really important in dark times to like make little spaces for yourself to rest and find small little joys, because you have to rest, you have to experience little joys to keep on going and keep on fighting. So I am still reading this book. It's taking me a lot longer than I anticipated. I really thought I was going to fly through this one. I got to about the 15% mark until Tuesday happened, and then I just really had not been feeling like reading any other week. I would have powered through this in maybe 1 or 2 days, but it has been taking a while. It's Friday. It's the first day where I have actually managed to sit down and read and enjoy what I'm reading and be able to dive into a book. I have actually been reading some nonfiction, but just in terms of fiction, I'm 30% of the way through this one now, and I am really enjoying it. And if I sound a little lackluster, it's not because of this book. This book is not lackluster. I'm really enjoying it. It's just there's a lot going on, but I am getting back into the swing of things with books. That puts me at about chapter 14, and I'm really loving this one so far. It is dark academia, and I would say it's a book that balances horror and balances fantasy really well. This is dark academia. This is not like a magic school that is full of whimsy and wonder. The things that are going on here, a little bit sinister. The way that the magic is created, it's a very interesting magic system with a lot of room to use that to corrupt other people or use it in a way that is very damaging for society. So the book starts, we're following our main character Lennon, and she is at a really dark point in her life. She's at the lowest of the low. She gets an invitation to attend Drayton College. She's never heard of it. She didn't even apply, and the way that she gets this invitation is very creepy, very eerie, very unsettling. She goes through a very strange admissions process and then gets selected to be a part of Drayton School. It's in Savannah, Georgia, and it is hidden away from the rest of the world. This book plays so much on liminal spaces and just the way things are done, the way the magic system, it's a school of persuasion. So Lennon and the other students have this gift of persuasion, which is not just persuasion as how we think of it, but persuasion in a way that can bend people and sometimes objects and matter and different things to their will. So that's really interesting. The magic system's really dark. Lennon just feels like there are so many things in this school that she's learning, but yet because she is a first-year student, a lot is kept back from her. And there are some really, really creepy sequences in here. So if you got this and you were worried that it's not going to be horror, there's definitely horror in here. The ways in which Lennon gets introduced to the school, very creepy. The initiation process, creepy. The ways in which her powers are manifesting feels very liminal, spacey, and I'm really, really enjoying those horror elements as well as the dark academia elements. This is very atmospheric, takes place in Savannah, and just the college, the school life feels very beautiful, very gothic in a way, and also just very atmospheric. So that is where I'm at. 30% of the way through. My camera battery is actually gonna die. When it rains, it pours, I suppose. So I am going to wrap this update out, but Lennon is just discovering her own, discovering her powers. I'm having a great time with this one, and I will check back in later with another reading update. Hey friends, it has been quite a few days since the last update. I'm still reading this book. This vlog has not gone how I thought it would at all, and that is not about this book. If I would have read this book at any other point this year, during any other month, I would have finished this in one day, maybe two, but just unfortunately, without getting too much into personal details, November has just been the worst month of 2024 so far, probably one of the worst months ever for me personally, and just for a lot of reasons. But it has nothing to do with this book, but it's taken me a while to read this book. I'm at the 50% mark. I am really enjoying it, but just if I seem a little off in this vlog, and if I seem like a little off in content to come, just know I've had a little bit of a rough go of things, and I'm just slowly trying to continue on with this channel again, because this is a fun project and hobby that I do for myself, and because I love reading so much, so it has been really hard. This is going on 2 weeks for this vlog, which is pretty unheard of for me, especially when I'm enjoying a book, but just the fact that it has been taking me so long to be able to mentally and physically be able to pick up a book and read at all. It's unfortunately been something that I haven't been able to do for a little bit of time. So 50% of the way in, I really, really do like this one. I really do like this one. Just, you know, wanted to give a quick personal update because, you know, this channel, I not only talk about books, but I do talk about my life here and there. So if you notice I seem a little off, it's not because of this book. It's not because I'm hating this book or anything like that. Just I'm going through it, and this book, it's gonna be so weird, like looking back on my life at this book and knowing like when I read it, like when I did, but I am really enjoying it. There is a romance that I'm nervous how prevalently it is going to be in the next 50% of the book. Don't think we needed it. However, I'm not hating it. This one, I would really say, again, I think this is like horror fantasy. I think it fits those genres really well. The fantasy, the magic system, the world building, the things that Lennon is experiencing, they're very dark. So I would almost say like Ninth House would be a great comp title for this one, because that one is fantasy, but it does go really dark places, and so does this one. I would also say, in terms of like horror recommendations, Plain Bad Heroines by Emily Ann Danforth, that one, just in terms of like, because I would comfortably say both that one and this one could find a home within horror books and just horror as a genre. However, just in terms of like the horror that's being experienced, Plain Bad Heroines is a good one. Again, for I guess just another comp title, although this one I think is maybe like the least like this one, but the Atlas 6 series, specifically the first one, but not the trajectory of that story, but just in the sense that it is a dark academia. It's a magic dark academia, but the magic magic system is very like scientific and almost like mathematic. It almost feels like sci-fi instead of fantasy in a lot of ways. So the magic system and the way that which they both feature schools that have older protagonists, that have college age or grad student age students. If you liked that about the Atlas 6, I think you'll like that with the world building. I think Ninth House is a really good comp title. I love Ninth House. I loved all of those that I just mentioned, by the way, and I am enjoying this one as well. So 50% of the way through, I am having a good time, at least when it comes to reading this book. But yeah, I am going to go get to reading some more, and I will check back in later with another reading update for y'all. Okay, so I finished An Academy for Liars and I really enjoyed this one. For me, Alexis Henderson as an author keeps getting better and better. So this is my new favorite from this author. I really enjoyed it. It was not a 5 stars, but it was really, really close. And I really enjoyed this niche space. It's gothic horror meets boarding school fantasy. And I just really loved the way that those two combined and worked together for this book. I think my biggest gripe for this one is going to be a little bit controversial because I think a lot of people are going to read this and think it is too slow and it is too slow to start, get things moving. But I think honestly, this should have been a duology. The horror elements in here, there is some body horror with like the magic system and all of that, but it is like very much structured like a gothic horror for a lot of the tropes and just thematic things, gothic horror. So it does take a little bit to start, but I really liked that. And there is something that happens at page 300 of this book. And this book is less than 500 pages. I think it's 420, something like that. There's something that happens at page 300 where that could have been the end of the first book. I feel like this could have been 2 books that were maybe 400 pages. So we have one book that would go up until the point that happened at page 300. Again, not spoilers, but then the last 100 pages to me felt so rushed. The beginning of this book, I liked the slowness. I liked the world building. And then the end, especially with the things that happened in the end, I felt like had this been a duology, some of the more emotional beats and the character interactions and relationships all the way around, not just romantic, but also like friendship, a lot of those felt very rushed by the end. And I just feel like if this would have been a series, if it would have had time to flourish, some of the things that happened at the ending would have had a greater impact. So I do wish this was a duology, mainly because I really want to explore like this world more and explore like the magic system and the minutia. I also felt this way about Year of the Witching. Now that one I think was supposed to be more than one book. It says on Goodreads and a number of other like review sources that it's Bethel book 1, but there's never been any mention of a book 2. When I finished that one, I felt like a lot was missing. I wanted it to be a bigger series than it was. And honestly, even in House of Hunger, I feel like Alexis Henderson, if she writes a series, it's going to be a 5-star series for me, because that's my biggest complaint, is that she creates these cool worlds and magic building. And not even just like this one does have like a magic system, but with the other books as well, there were magic systems systems, and there are also like fantasy elements. There's so much world building that she could have made anything that she's written so far into a series. I know a lot of people look for standalones and like standalones. I am a series person, and I acknowledge that that is probably some of my bias. I think a lot of people will read this and think that it definitely does not need to be a series, but I do wish this would have been a duology, just because of the character building in particular. I wish the first half would have spent more just doing day-to-day at Drayton and learning more about the magic system, which I thought was really interesting. And then when shit really hits the fan towards the end of this book, have more time to deal with that, have more time to work through that slowly, and have like the payoffs at the end feel more earned. So I did really enjoy this one. As for this specific edition, I do get why the original has the moth on the cover for the symbology of the book and just themes of the book and things that are introduced. I do think maybe that the moth, a little bit better of a cover, but I do like the art in this one. So I almost wish the inside of this book, like the naked hardback, has these beautiful doors, and I almost wish that the dust jacket, the art of this book, maybe would have explored those aspects more. And this one, I think the cover would have been even more thematically relevant, but I do think this is an absolutely gorgeous book. I'm so excited to have it on my shelves. I know I briefly mentioned comp titles for this one, but I would say if you liked the Atlas 6 by Olive Blake, if you liked the magic system and the school itself, where the magic system feels almost like sci-fi or very scientific in nature as opposed to fantastical, and if you like the school where it is very cutthroat and then you also have older protagonists, I think if you liked those elements of the Atlas 6, in particular the first book, I'm not talking about the series, I think you would like this one. And then also, this is just another one that I think is going to get compared to a lot, but I think it's a great comparison, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, because this one I feel like really captures the blend of horror and the blend of fantasy. There's definitely horror elements in both. I would primarily shelf both Ninth House and An Academy for Liars as fantasy, but there's absolutely horror elements in both of them. So all that being said, overall, I had a really fun time reading this book. I know personally, like, my life hasn't been the best over the week or so that I have been filming this, but this book is really great. I'm so excited to put it on my shelves, keep continuing picking up more books from Alexis Henderson. I have really enjoyed everything that she's put out, and as I mentioned at the beginning of this update, every book that she publishes keeps getting higher and higher ratings from me, so I am so excited to see what she does next. Fingers crossed. I selfishly hope that it is a series, but that is going to be the end of this vlog. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel for all of the bookish horror and cozy gaming content. Stay safe, stay spooky, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!